Joining us now, Fox News national security analyst Waleed Phares. Waleed, let's get right into it. What happens next in terms of the possible attacks on Americans or American facilities in light of the strike and President Trump's tweets?
You have two actors. The actor who will decide on this is not going to be us. We're going to react to it. It's going to be Tehran. And now they are facing with a challenge, a dilemma, I would say. Their bases are putting pressure on them to take action either in Iraq or in the region, Gulf, Arab world, or even in the United States. But at the same time, there's another thinking in Tehran. Why are we risking? Why would we risk everything we've obtained over the past 30 years or more? Control of Iraq, of Syria, of Lebanon, of Yemen, and having all that cash coming through the Iran nuclear deal. Why do we risk all of that? So between those two theories, the Iranian leadership will have to do something, but something that would not basically jeopardize the regime itself.
Secretary of State Pompeo said that Qasem Soleimani was plotting attacks that were in the pipeline, that were essentially imminent. Do we believe that?
Well, if the government says so within the context that we have seen as experts, outside experts, that were happening, it's not overnight, it's not a surprise. This is not Sweden overnight. The Iranian militias or backed militias were already on the attack. They have done a lot of activities against our bases in the region and also in Kirkuk. But more important, there were many statements made by the military hierarchy and members of the Iraqi Parliament, all saying that we will take action against the U.S. Why? As long as there are sanctions. So an initial concern they had is that they would weaken us in Iraq, therefore we could negotiate, therefore we could lift those sanctions. But there was another reason, John, very quickly. They were concerned about the demonstrations in Iraq, in Lebanon, and in Iran, and they were concerned that at some point we're going to somehow link up with the demonstrators. That was their nightmare. They wanted to preempt against us.
So how far would Iran be willing to go to lash out at the United States?
They have three levels that could use. One is, and they have been talking about it, in Iraq against our various sites to force us to leave. At the same time, they have pushed their supporters in the Iraqi Parliament to try to issue a legislation. I'm not sure about that for the time being. They could widen it to the Gulf, whereby they could target a lot of bases. We have our Navy or our allies, as they've done with Saudi Arabia. And really, if they want to go very, very far, although that's the riskiest one, is to try to do something on the homeland, because they know the price of this one is the regime. So they're going to try to calculate what would not be the regime and at the same time satisfy their base.
Do you think the American public was perhaps unaware of how much mischief Iran has been making in the Middle East, especially within the last 6 months to a year?
Yes, in a sense, I agree. I mean, in our public debates, media debates, even academia debates, the issue of the Iranian threat was not so much visible, especially because of the Iran deal and the Iranian propaganda, and also because we have been focusing on ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the rest. But now, with what is happening, and especially statements made by the Iranian regime against the United States, I think the American public is opening its eyes.
You mentioned Al-Qaeda. We woke up this morning to word of an Al-Shabaab attack that claimed American lives. Is that related to Iran?
I don't think so, although everything is possible. Depends on the degree of Iranian influence over these other jihadi groups, so I'm not going to pronounce myself before the intelligence community would do so. But Al-Qaeda has a modus vivendi and has a guideline to be able to attack U.S. and allies every time they have the opportunity.
So we should expect more trouble from Iran, but we should also essentially, in your view, believe that the president is correct when he says any response from Iran will be met with overwhelming force.
It couldn't be other than this position, because if we let the Iranians advance and strike and we're not responding, as was the case in previous years, what is their reaction? They're going to conclude peace with us? They're going to move forward because they have geopolitical goals. It's not just economic goals. So, of course, the president, the administration, and I hope more congressional leaders will support this firm position that we have. But more important, we have an opportunity, a historic opportunity, in 3 countries, in Iraq, in Iran, and in Lebanon, to hook up with the civil society that is rising. We have not had that opportunity since we had a problem with Iran. So this is where the next steps should be, in addition to our firmness in resisting the Iranian aggression.
Walid Phares. Walid, thank you.